It took 10 years, but an American hero is finally coming home. In the year 2006, F-16 pilot Major Troy Gilbert was killed in combat in Iraq, leaving behind his wife and 5 kids. Not only had Gilbert been killed in action, but al-Qaeda fighters then took his body.
But a decade later, Major Gilbert has returned to the country just in time for Christmas. He so valiantly served the United States of America, and this weekend his family is going to be traveling to Arlington to bury him officially.
Now, his widow, Ginger Gilbert, Ravella, and Folds of Honor founder, Major Dan Rooney, join us to talk about this journey. Welcome to both of you. Thanks for getting up early. And Major Dan, tell us how you got alerted to this story and this need.
Well, our time with Ginger goes way back. You can take it back 9 years, and when we were just starting Folds of Honor. And I think like everybody, when you're starting something, it's not going to go exceedingly well. And I got a call from Mike LaForte, who was actually the instructor pilot, taught me to fly the F-16, and he informed me of Troy's ultimate sacrifice in Iraq, and said he had 5 kids, and Folds of Honor has got to help these kids. So this connection to Troy and his passing goes so far back, and so many lives have been changed as a result. But certainly Ginger's perspective on Troy finally coming home is such a blessing.
Yeah, and Ginger, this has been a long road for you. This will be the 3rd funeral you've had for your husband, right?
It is. It's true. It's sort of unimaginable to take your children back to Arlington National Cemetery 3 times to bury their father, but this time there's a lot more closure to it.
Surely. Ginger, explain why there were 2 funerals before this one.
Well, back on November 27, 2006, when he was killed in combat, he was serving our country as an F-16 pilot in the Air Force, and he died in a combat mission where he saved the lives of over 20 special operators. And when he lost his life tragically before our troops were able to get into the crash site, he was taken by insurgents. And it was just a nightmare for our family, to lose him, and then to know that we didn't have his body to bury. And so there was some DNA left at the crash site, and that was confirmed that he had been killed, and that small amount was what we buried in 2006.
Ginger, what are you feeling today? His body's coming home right before Christmas, and now you'll finally get, I guess, closure? Is that what you would say? How do you describe what you're going through?
Well, in 2013, when we got word that some small remains of his toes were recovered, and they did a lot of searching for him at that point, and turned up with nothing. And we had a second burial 7 years after the day that he died, and so in that time, though, I really feel like the Lord gave me a peace that we buried the top of his head and the tip of his toes, and God had everything in between, and we just had to trust him. And so we just had to wait, and we waited and prayed, and now, 3 years after that, 10 years after his crash, ultimately a hero is returning home.
So, Dan, for Folds of Honor, what role have you played?
Freedom isn't free. And what we do is provide education for spouses and children who've had someone killed or disabled, defending our freedoms. And Trojan left behind 5 children. I have 5 myself, and that's the worst nightmare. And for Folds of Honor to step in and send all 5 of his children to a small private school, Christian school in San Antonio, Texas, I can't think of any other way to better honor his sacrifice.
That doesn't happen for a single mom.
No, it doesn't. And we'll take them all the way through college. But to honor that sacrifice first and foremost by taking care of that legacy, and I think I speak for every member of the military like myself, that if something were to happen, your greatest concern is what happens to my spouse and my children. And that's where we step in.
This is not the first time we have met this family. We met this family on this program in one of the most impactful, emotional moments I've ever witnessed with my own 2 eyes. This past Memorial Day.
Absolutely. When we found Troy's truck and returned it, there's the segment there, and he had actually sold his truck just before he left, and through Colonel Ravella and Ginger and the Schmitz, they were able to find this truck and deliver it back to his sons.
Ginger, go ahead.
Ginger, as a mother, I'm looking at this video and I see you in the background crying. I can only imagine what this means to you, seeing your children have a piece of their father back, and your son's there in the front seat crying. What has Folds of Honor meant to you as a mother and helping your children?
You know, it's peace of mind, but it's also a way that my kids go to school every day and they know they're going and getting an education because of who their father was and how he lived and how he died. And so that is ultimately a thank you from the American people to my family for our sacrifice is the education of our children. And I always tell people, you know, if you'd run into my husband at the airport in uniform and thanked him for his service and asked what could someone do for him, he would have said, you don't need to do anything for me, but if something happens to me, will you take care of my wife and kids? And
surely.
Folds of Honor is helping do that.
They are indeed. All right. Ginger, we thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you.
Major Dan, how can we help Folds of Honor?
This year we put over $13 million out in financial aid to families. There were millions in unfunded qualified requests. So our humble ask to Fox Nation is to make a donation. The gift during this holiday season of an education to these Gold Star families is something that we're honored and humbled to pay forward.
Foldsofhonor.org?
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. God bless and Merry Christmas to you guys and everybody out there in the Fox Nation that supports our foundation.